Guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Frostbuddy. It is drinkware engineered to keep your beverages exactly how you want them. Whether you're heading out for an adventure or just powering through your day, Frostbuddy's flagship product, the Universal Buddy, replaces the need for multiple can coolers by fitting virtually every 12-ounce and 16-ounce can bottle you drink, sodas and seltzers to coffee and sparkling water, all in a single versatile design. Constructed with high quality double walled stainless steel and thoughtful features like a flexible silicone lid and a tapered shape that fits most cup holders, Frostbuddy keeps drinks cold for 12 hours and hot for up to 6 hours. So you get consistent temperature control, whether it's an iced drink on a hot afternoon or a hot coffee on the drive to work. Built to last, field tested for durability, and backed by a 30-day return policy, Frostbuddy makes everyday moments, from tailgates and beach days to backyard cookouts and commutes, more enjoyable. Going over and click the link below and use promo code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase when you visit our friends over at frostbuddy.com, and when you use that promo code SSS15. Are you tired of spending upwards of $7 to $8 on coffees that are full of sugar and high in fat? Well, look no further than Chike Nutrition, the brand redefining what coffee can do for your day. Chike Nutrition combines the rich, familiar taste of real coffee with 20 grams of high-quality protein and the energy of 2 shots of espresso, giving you both fuel and function in every scoop. Available in a variety of crave-worthy flavors like mocha, caramel, vanilla, and many more, Chike delivers smooth, cafe-style iced coffee that mixes instantly with water or your favorite milk, with no clunky blender or complicated prep needed. Each serving is designed to be low in sugar, packed with protein, and loaded with real espresso, so that you can get a sustained energy boost that helps power your morning, workout, or busy afternoon without the crash that comes from sugary coffee drinks. Whether you're looking for better nutrition in your coffee routine or a smarter way to stay energized and full longer, Chike makes it simple. Scoop, shake, sip, and enjoy. If you want to take advantage of the new year and get in the best shape of your life, click the link below and get yourself 10% off of your first order over at ChikeNutrition.com. There's a reason why we cover this sport 24/7 and why it is so important to break down the biggest news, the biggest moments, and the biggest changes that are going on in the offseason. There is no such thing as a normal offseason when it comes to college football. I can promise you that right now. And today yesterday was another great example of why college football is so unique and why it is such a weird sport that people dedicate most of their lives to covering. The fallout from this whole situation is a great reminder to all schools about how big of a PR disaster, how stupid, and how downright ignorant that some teams are nowadays when it comes to getting what they are trying to achieve in this era of college football. But before we get into that, guys, we are live as always. Everybody do us a favor, because you and I have a lot to talk about as always. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live. We post a new video or post a new short here on the Southern Sports Scene. As always, every live show brought to you by our friends over at Frostbuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com. Use the promo code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. Also, thank you to our friends at Chike Nutrition with 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, and 1 gram of sugar. You can get every day started with a healthy, hearty cup of coffee. And as always, we would love to partner with our good friends in colleagues over at Buzzer. Make sure you get on over to the Buzzer app. See if you can become a verified creator today and get started. And if you love nothing but sports, Buzzer is the place for you so that you can get the best and most unique experience when it comes to our friends over at Buzzer. The big news coming from yesterday, Brendan Sorsby is no longer going to be playing college football in 2026. This comes after a lot of backlash over the last several days, last week especially. Back when the news first broke about how the local judge confirmed that he would be eligible for the season, Texas Tech imposed a self-proclaimed 2-game ban for him for this whole situation. But would it have mattered, in my opinion? I don't know, bro. It's because it's so weird how this all turned out and how incredibly ignorant that the Texas Tech administrators and how this whole situation was handled. It was not handled properly. Do I think that he should have been ruled ineligible for the entire season? Yes. I've been very vocal in saying that, and I know there's some people that say, "Oh, well, I think he was going to be eligible because of the way that it was and the way that the court system was going to rule in his favor." Guys, you got to remember that. I said that from the very beginning when this whole situation started, that they were going to rule him eligible. But kudos to the Big Ten to the Big 12 for stepping in. The SEC turned away from this whole situation. The Big Ten turned their backs against them. You have 2 teams from the Big 12 that were opting out of playing Tech for the remainder of the season, or for the remainder of, But anyways, guys, I just don't know what on earth is going to happen from the fallout of this. I think Tech's in good hands with either way, because you're going to start with Will Hammond, who's going to be nursing back from an ACL tear. Kirk Francis, the transfer from Tulsa, is going to be starting the first 2 games of the season. But it's not something that you wanted to hang your hat on. And it's something that most definitely nobody wanted to have happen. Nobody. So, is there a lot of backlash from this? Is it warranted? Yeah. Here's my thing with this whole situation. Mac Leftwich knew what was going to happen from this whole thing. The 21-minute video, which I'm not going to play, is cringeworthy. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it is very much so weird, bro. It's very, very weird with how this was handled. You know? I don't know, man. I mean, it's just a weird situation. Texas Tech is going to be fine, even without it. But here's the thing, too. You have a guy that in years past, you had guys that were ineligible because of this exact same thing. No matter how much they bet, no matter how much they earned from the bet. Guys, you knew that something like this was going to happen. You knew that this was going to be a dangerous situation that you were stepping into. And I was literally about to put together our State of the Program series on Texas Tech, and then this news broke out, and now I'm contemplating whether or not I just redo it all over again,
I get in touch with our guy, RC Maxwell, who I got an opportunity, or RC Maxfield, excuse me, who I got to speak with a couple days ago of the Red and Black Report. But, I mean, again, I think we knew what was going to happen. I think that this was a very, very obvious situation. You've had many different things that have gone on within the Texas Tech department. You have had lawsuits that were beginning to start. And it was going to get bad. The Big 12 was going to file a complaint against Tech. And it was seeking declaratory judgment and a preliminary injunction to enforce its bylaws and potentially sanction the school for its plans to play Brennan Sorsby. This could have gone way off the deep end much quicker than what we expected. Just saying. Now, I understand that the Big 12 would have had to abide by law, but I don't know, man. I don't know. So they filed a 47-page complaint against Texas Tech Attorney General Ken Paxton, the systems chancellor, the school president, and the athletic director in seeking declaratory judgment and a preliminary injunction to enable it to enforce its bylaws. So if this would have happened, I think that they would have lost. And by the way, I think majority of the Big 12 athletic directors, which we talked about it last week, said that they were not going to play Texas Tech. That they did not want to play Texas Tech. That if they did, then there would be a very, very serious, shall we say, this would have been much worse than any of us could have imagined. So, I don't know, man. I really don't know. So, according to the filing, the Big 12 conference officials, the university presidents, and athletic directors requested that Tech not play Sorsby, but Texas Tech has not agreed. This has resulted in the conference considering a variety of sanctions. And if a vote were to occur, some of the potential sanctions the board could consider under the bylaws include monetary sanctions or a ban on competing in the Big 12 title game. So, I understand that Joey McGuire says it's not murder. I get that. And I understand where he is coming from. I agree, it isn't murder. But this is a standard that has been upheld and has continued to get upheld dating all the way back to the 1950s. The only difference is why this is such a big ordeal is because this was a decision handed down, given a preliminary injunction by the state, which basically said that you're granted this, and if you choose not to, he basically got handed a restraining order against the NCAA. So with that, it's not really a whole lot that the NCAA could do. Now, could they sue the local judge No, on what the grounds were, probably not. But if this were to have gone up to the federal level, because this was not just a state issue, this was an NCAA issue. This is involving a federal. This is a national brand we're talking about. And yes, I believe that the end of the NCAA is coming to an end. I believe that this is around the time where we are going to see the conference eventually fade into extinction because of the outcome of this whole thing, what's going to be the end result, and what are we going to see in the future with this whole scenario. So it was a sticky situation from the beginning. It was sketchy whenever I first saw some of the details. And then when this blew up, that's when things took a turn for the worse for Brendan Sorsby in Texas Tech. So Sorsby is no longer a Red Raider. He will be entering the supplemental draft. I think that he's going to get picked. I think no question that I have a hard time believing that he's just going to go undrafted. Or he's not going to get picked up in the supplemental draft. There's a team that's going to take somebody like him. The box score wise, it's not a sexy pick, but you have somebody that you can kind of get behind and you can put into decent positions where you can help him succeed. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot that needs to not really improve on, but more of he needs to get his stuff together. That's the bottom line. He needs to put this whole thing behind him and at least try to put it behind him and focus on football for 7 months out of the year. From now until the month of January. 7 months. Now until the end of the season, whenever it is for the NFL now. He has to focus on football. I think Texas Tech is more than prepared for the next step. I think they've been prepared for a very long time. Crazy as it sounds. And people are going to look at this and haven't really been paying attention to Texas Tech and saying, well, what's going to happen with them now? Guys, you're still looking at a really good roster with a really, really, really good nucleus of talent that's around them. Will Hammond is a really good quarterback. But listen, they've been preparing for Will Hammond's pre-ACL. He's not going to play in the first 2 games. He's not going to play against Oregon State or Abilene Christian. I don't know if he'll play against Houston. We'll see what happens from there. But by the time the Houston game comes around, I do expect Will Hammond to at least make an appearance. And by that time, we'll be getting into Big 12 play, and Will Hammond should be at 100%. But what a story that this has been, bro. And what a crazy scenario. So, Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech agreeing to mutually part ways. Honestly, I think it was one of the 2 scenarios. I think Tech went into the situation saying, with force from the Big 12 that said, if you don't decide to mutually part ways or come up with a resolution where he's no longer part of this team or he no longer plays a game, please do. If not, we will sue. And I don't think that Texas Tech wanted to go through that. I think they're at a disadvantage no matter how much money they spend on a roster. It's a bottom line, man. It's a bottom line. So, Yeah, no, I mean, what else can you say from this that really hasn't already been said? Because this has just been wild. This has been absolutely insane. I don't know, man. I mean, it's one of those things that you never expected when this season began, but here we are. So, prayers for Brendan Sorsby as he continues to go forward. He is now officially in the supplemental draft. We'll see what happens there, and hopefully he can find himself on an NFL roster by the time we start the season. Some more news around college football. Let's talk about Kentucky. Why are we talking about Kentucky right now? And why do I have a sneaky suspicion that Kentucky is going to be better than what we expect? Well, listen. You're entering a very, very interesting year where, despite all of the guys that you lost from this past year, you lose some really, really good football players that are now at other schools and are also in the transfer portal. You lose a guy in Cutter Boley that had a lot of potential, that showed out in big-time games, had some pretty good games this past year against guys like, or against teams like Kentucky, or not Kentucky, like teams like Tennessee, where you saw bits and pieces where he would have some really good moments. You lose a guy like Dante Dowdle, who showed out in big-time games, was averaged over 5 yards a carry last year, splitting carries with him and Seth McGowan. Jamarian Wilcox was another guy that was a guy that got some playing time in 2024, dealt with his situation with being accused of sexual assault, ended up getting charged with that, of course. So now he is at Marshall. And now Kentucky enters 2026 with a whole new roster. So what did you go out and get? You actually got some really, really good guys. And some guys that I think are going to be better than what we expect. So from an offensive standpoint, I think that this team is better from an offensive standpoint than what we remember. They got some guys. And if these guys can stay healthy, they have a legit chance of being really, really, really damn good. You brought in guys from the transfer portal, a guy like Tegros Shabola, who was a guy that got some playing time at guard for Ohio State, was a third-team All-Big Ten. He decides to follow Will Stein and company this upcoming season. You brought in Lance Hurd, who has shown promise but does struggle in pass protection at times. He's going to be your left tackle there. Hurd is a very, very, very promising guy. I've been waiting for him to have somewhat of a breakout year. I think where he's at right now, dude, he is a load at offensive tackle, and he's going to be very, very good. Kenny Minchie, who is the Notre Dame transfer, he's a guy that got some playing time for C.J. Carr for 6 games throughout the season. He's a guy that I think can be really, really special. Our guy Nick VS6PH says, "Good job, bro." Thank you so much, Nick. Hopefully you are a subscriber and are tuned into us, as we always do. Guys, once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Kenny Minchie is a very interesting quarterback. Former 4-star recruit, initially committed to play at Pitt, ended up going to decommit and commit to Notre Dame. Spent 3 years as a backup. So he is a very, very, very talented quarterback. He's got a dual threat capability about him that is somewhat similar to what Riley Leonard was. He's an excellent game manager, and he's a guy that I think can do some really, really good things in 2026. Very confident. Kentucky's going to have a very, very good quarterback situation. Probably the best they've had in just over 5 years, in my opinion. because Kenny Minchey is probably a better passing quarterback than Will Levis. And I know that he hasn't taken a snap yet. I know that he hasn't really taken a real game action. He hasn't started a game yet in his career. But I look at the guy and I look at where he's at from the spring game. He is going to be very, very good. His swagger, his confidence is on another level. The running back room is where things get really interesting. You have guys like the former number 1 overall running back in the class of 2023 and CJ Baxter. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time in 2025. He's been dealing with injuries, had a torn ACL in 2023, ended up needing surgery in 2024 because of a knee injury. He's dealt with injuries. Javonte Barnes is a guy that has also struggled with injuries throughout the season. He was a Doak Walker Award watch list guy. Didn't end up going anywhere. Nick Anderson is another guy that has also dealt with some injuries. So there's a lot of concern when it comes to this team, but I think it's going to be very strong nonetheless. I think that the 1 and 2 guy is, if they're fully healthy, they can be 2 very good running backs. I think they can be better than what Dante Dowdell and Seth McGowan gave you last year if you were Kentucky. The talent is there, but can you stay healthy? That has to be the most important thing that you have to understand from here on out. Wide receiver, DJ Miller and Shane Carr were also standing out. Offensive line wise is going to be really good. Colton Price, Max Anderson, Lance Hurd, from what I have heard. From a defensive perspective, the back 7 is going to be the one with the most question marks. So, I don't know, man. Lot to there just seems to be a lot that people are concerned about and people that really, really like when it comes to Kentucky. And when you look at their schedule, September is obviously going to be a tough one. Alabama at home, at Texas A&M. You get the 2 and 2 there. You have to go to Willie B and play. You get LSU at home. You go to Oklahoma. Vanderbilt's a team that I think you could actually pull off a victory there. That could be win number 3. The Governor's Cup could be 4 wins for you. Bowl eligibility for you, man. You got to be able to pull off some upsets. You got to be able to handle Florida. I think that could be a toss-up game. Louisville, of course, is always, you want to get revenge after that 41-0 beatdown that you had. First time you've actually been shut out by Louisville since 2004. So, embarrassing. You've been embarrassed by Louisville the last 2 games that you've played them. So, it's a chance for you to kind of get back into the rhythm that you were in not too long ago. But, again, when it comes to Kentucky, this is a team that I don't know what it is. Every other year, they just tend to break out. And I feel like this year is going to be different with them, with Will Stein in his first year. 5 wins is not out of the question. I think this team can be very good. I think this team can be better than what we expect. But when I look at their floor, their ceiling, and their median, and what I expect for them to be, Youngstown State, I'm going to consider that a win. I think you enter the month of October at least 2-2. I don't see you dropping to South Alabama and dropping to Youngstown State. At South Carolina, I think that's an L for you. I think you're going to start off 0-5 in conference play. But then you get Vanderbilt at home. It's a young Vanderbilt team. You don't know what Jerry Curtis is going to look like. I think the experience level that Kentucky has in these, and look, they had some pretty tight one possession games this past year, even with a bad roster. They were close to stealing a few games here and there. Kentucky would, or not Kentucky, Texas was a very close one. You had to go to overtime with them. You could have beat Ole Miss at near the end. You had a couple missed plays where you could have taken care of business there. But you're coming off of an incredible win against Florida where you were absolutely demolished them this past year. But you will be, I believe, 2-5 by the time we get to the Vanderbilt game. Maybe you still a win in Willie B. That could get you to 3-4. You could be 4-4 at Vanderbilt. Going to Tennessee, I just don't see you winning there. Right now, I would expect 3-6, 4-6 going to Florida. I think you pull out a win there. Going to Missouri, that's a bad team. That's a mediocre team this year, but this is still Missouri. I think 4-7, and then Louisville in the Governor's Cup. I think the median for me is probably 4-8. I think I would expect them at least probably 5-7. The ceiling is a 7-win season. I think that you can pull off upsets in the month of November. I think you can go 3-1 in November. I think you can get that Vanderbilt win for you to get yourself to 3 SEC wins. I don't know about LSU. I just don't see a scenario where you're going to be able to win that one. But look, from October 24th to November 28th, if you can go 4-1 during that stretch, Kentucky can be bowl eligible. I think you could pull off an upset against South Carolina. Maybe. We'll see what happens from here on out. But again, this is a very young Kentucky team. This is a team that I think with time, and if the fans are bought in sooner than expected, this is a Kentucky team that we will be seeing be a bowl contender and be a regular player in a bowl game over the next 2 to 3 years with Will Stein as their head coach. I like Will Stein, and I think he's got a very long future ahead of him in Big Blue Nation. But look, this is still a team that is very mediocre and a team that has to get their stuff together. They have to improve from top to bottom. They don't have a choice because this was a bad team this past year. But let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comments section below. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Southern Sports Scene. You guys are the best. We appreciate every single one of you guys' support. Y'all make sure y'all do us a favor. Hit the like and share button down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button every time we go live, post a new video, or post a new short here on the Southern Sports Scene. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed. Don't stress. Y'all have a great rest of the week.